Hey, there's another name you might know me by.
Mohamed.
Mohamed?
Who?
It's a tradition that I bring you the story of the new champion after a championship fight, and many of you already expect it. A fighter reached the top, but I didn't report it because I didn't expect the result or have the story ready. Besides, I couldn't find a way to tell you the story without us falling asleep, me making it and you watching it. But the time has come to talk about this elephant in the room. So, welcome to the Ecuberso, the man whose name you're supposed to remember, but almost no one does. Belal Mohamed. Born on July 9th, 1988 in the city of Chicago, in the state of Illinois, United States. Our entertaining protagonist today is the son of Palestinian immigrants who settled on Yankee soil seeking better life opportunities. Our protagonist had a peaceful childhood. His parents worked hard to support a home with 4 children. And there was no particular taste for martial arts. In fact, the taste was non-existent. Belal spent years immersed in his studies, being considered a good student. Upon entering high school, he started training in wrestling, believing that excelling could lead to recruitment by a major university. Sabotage. He didn't make it.
What do you mean, no?
Life goes on. His coach would be Lewis Taylor, a future Professional Fighters League champion. He entered the University of Illinois to study that career that allows you to become a soulless, blood-sucking creature and a licensed criminal. I'm referring to law, not political science. Yes, Belal hoped to be a lawyer, and he certainly would have done well as a lawyer, because he is good at making decisions. The thing is, one day he was reading a report in the press about the former coach, Lewis Taylor, and how he was having a lot of success, and Belal was surprised. In addition, he was curious to know if someone like him could try something of the sort, so he contacted his former coach, who invited him to train, and according to Belal, after one class he told him that this was his thing, even going so far as to say that it became an addiction. Belal says he started training at 23 years old, but those numbers don't add up. If you're born in 1988 and have your first amateur fight in 2010, that's 22 years, not 23. But regardless, it's pretty clear that he started training relatively late for the average of today's elite professional mixed martial arts fighter.
True.
Belal had 2 victorious amateur mixed martial arts fights before transitioning to professional mixed martial arts in 2012. In his debut at Husser Fight Club, he defeated Justin Brox by technical knockout in the first round, according to the record. Treasure these KOs or technical KOs, for they are like the love and affection your ex once claimed to have for you. Quite scarce and non-existent, and speaking of scarcity, do you also know what is quite scarce? Footage of his pre-UFC fights. So I'm going to tell you that in a little over 3 years, he added 8 more victories to his record, with 2 by way of technical chaos and 6 by unanimous decision. In addition to winning the inaugural welterweight title of the Titan Fight Club promoter, Fight Club.
Up to that point in his career, our protagonist had to be lying to his parents, but especially to his mother, who thought her son was making very good money, when in reality he was not.
Besides, he didn't think he would make it into the UFC, Ultimate Fighting Championship. He saw himself as a second-tier promoter fighter, so to speak, because he was convinced he could be embarrassed in the octagon or seriously injured, and in his own judgment and his coach's, that money wasn't worth the risk. But there must be something in Dana's voice when he makes the call that wipes your memory, because when Dana calls him to step in as a replacement against Chuban, all these thoughts suddenly disappeared.
Was it a coincidence?
And so it was. On July 7th of 2016, with a record of 9-0, he made his debut in the octagon, and he was certainly right that he could get hurt because Juvan beat him up.
And he took a victory, frustrating the debut of our protagonist.
However, they took the fight of the night bonus, which, a little extra cash never hurts. 2 months after his troubled debut, he faces off against Augusto Montano, whom he defeats by technical knockout with a solid ground and pound takedown in the 3rd round. Thus adding his first victory in UFC Ultimate Fighting Championship. But you know, some are good and some are bad, and in the next fight he has to clash with the then very tough Vicente Luque, who shakes his brain with a left hook and finishes him off with some hyper-violent superfluous to finish the job. After being reset by a knockout, he spends 3 months out, but returns at UFC 208 to dominate and secure a unanimous decision against Randy Brown. 5 months later, he repeats the dose against Jordan Main. In November of 2017, he went to a 3-round war against Tim Mins, which was quite entertaining for a Belal fight. In the end, the judges gave the victory to our protagonist by split decision. As often happens in these cases, the result did not convince everyone. I mean, it doesn't even convince the judges. Imagine the casual people. He would add another decision to his record by defeating Chance Rencontri, but then he would be dominated from start to finish by Jeff Neal. The decision makers unanimously agreed that the protagonist's striking ability in his debut could rival that of Ben Askren or Gavi. But if there's one thing to give Belal credit for, it's that he can fall and get up very quickly. After this setback, he ends 2019 with 2 impressive wins. First, and to no one's surprise, he takes a decision against Curtis Millender. And later, listen up, he adds the first submission of his career. And he does it by submitting with a nice rear naked choke to the judo expert Takashi Sato in the 3rd round.
He executes a well-calculated double leg takedown, immediately going on the defensive after the shot. He now has control of his opponent.
Along with his initial entry, he also claims the evening's performance bonus. Between 2020 and 2021, he adds another pair of decisions, one against Lee Man-good. And the other against Diego Lima. With a record of 18, 313 of those victories, by decision, 2 things were clear. There was more chance of Dana growing hair than seeing Belal knocking someone out. And that he had chosen the wrong nickname because instead of having the nickname Remember the Name, they should have called him Decision Maker.
I would remember that nickname. Seriously, think about it.
On March 13th, 2021, he faces off against Leon Edwards for the first time in a short notice fight. The fight would, at first, be dominated by Edwards. In the second round, he nearly sends his opponent for a cornea transplant by hooking his eyelid with a finger. Look at that. Just as a reminder, this didn't happen in Pride because they had the best mixed martial arts gloves that have ever existed. Oh, Pride, it hurts to think about you, it hurts to know that you're not here. The fight was declared a no contest because Belal couldn't continue due to the injury. Remember, Leon's story is already on the channel. Your lunch intertwines fantastically with it. And by the way, his story is something that I think I forgot to comment on, and that is that in fitness forums, there is a kind of homoerotic addiction to Leon's body. Something like his structure and proportions are perfect.
He's a hunk.
After almost making a Michael Bisping, adds 3 decisions among quite good names, Demi and Maya. The Boy Wonder, Wonderboy Thompson.
Very good at ending fights, Rabat.
And a rematch against Vicente Luque, achieving the best feeling a man can get in his life, revenge, which I hope you can experience someday.
The only verdict is revenge.
On October 22nd, 2022 at UFC 280, he faced off against the undefeated Sean Brady, who had 15 wins and was a submission specialist, despite not being known for knockouts. But perhaps because it was February 22nd, 2022, or maybe due to planetary alignment, something incredible occurred. Belal managed to win by way of technical knockout by sheer force of blows.
He did it. That crazy son of a devil did it.
This assured him a performance of the night bonus and a victory, and also burst Sean's undefeated streak. By that time, Belal was looking for a rematch against Leon Edwards, but he was denied because he didn't think he was worthy to face him again.
You're not worthy?
In view of this, UFC Ultimate Fighting Championship schedules him to fight against the always tough Gilbert Burns, who was supposed to be a, well, quite tough opponent. But he managed to do what he does best.
Though he can't do much, he handles taking hits with a strong mindset, not by kicking.
Taking a unanimous decision, and with this victory, he positions himself as the official challenger to the title that was in the hands of Leon Edwards, who could no longer keep dodging our protagonist. At the pre-fight conference, it was noticeable that Belal was really upset with Edwards for having been dodging him all this time, plus the eye thing, of course.
He committed the foul and hurt me, causing the fight to be stopped. This was supposed to be my moment to shine, but it felt like he snatched it away from me.
Besides, for this fight, he was training with Javid Nurmagomedov's team, and even went so far as to say that he now had hands like Canelo. This is either dishonesty or overconfidence, take note. On July 27th, 2024, in Manchester, England, Belal and Leon Edwards step into the octagon for what was supposed to be a beating by Leon. It was Belal, the most boring fighter in his category and possibly the entire UFC, who couldn't even knock out a grandpa. Going up against an excellent striker who had just done this to Kamaru Usman, what chance would Belal have? It's a mistake to think that way. Anything can happen in this sport. And Belal took care of demolishing Lion for 5 rounds, even going so far as to slam him to the ground with this beautiful spine press takedown. After 25 minutes of action, the judges declared him the winner. Of course, by unanimous decision to Belal Mohamed, thus becoming the new UFC welterweight champion. Causing terror among mixed martial arts followers. And a stroke scare Adana, who, as you know, despises boring fighters and those who are not appreciated, like Belal. In fact, I would say he is both at the same time, but we will talk about that later. Eager to escape Belal's presence as soon as possible. A fight was scheduled with challenger Shavkat Drakhmonov, but Belal had to withdraw from the fight due to an infection in one of his toes. It sounds like an excuse, but it's real. The fight would be rescheduled, but this time, Drakhmonov was the one who got off the train due to a knee injury, nearly sending Dana to the hospital for thinking he'd have to endure Belal as champion all year. His idea, though initially desperate, could benefit UFC and gain Dana's attention if successful. He offers a title shot to the division's number 5 ranked fighter, Jack of the Magdalene. This Australian of Italian origin was scheduled to fight against John Edwards, but when he received this call, he did not hesitate to accept it. And on May 10th of 2025, in Quebec, Canada, the Master of Decision steps into the octagon to face the unexpected challenger, and when the fight comes, Belal would come out with his supposed cinnamon fists to face the challenger, which wouldn't take long to show the difference between them in terms of boxing technique. Instead of doing his thing and taking down, controlling, and pounding as much as possible, Belal persisted in his effort to dominate with his fists, attempting takedowns at the first chance, but Jack defended them. The thing is, from the third round on, the fight turned into a festival of patriarchal violence that is worth watching again. The problem is, with an approach like the one Belal was taking in this fight, the one of wanting to prove to others that he can be superior to his opponent in his game. It's a story we've seen before. It usually doesn't turn out very well, and I don't know why they keep trying. When Belal tried to adjust, it was too late. He had taken more hits than Alberto Fernandez's wife, and for the judges the decision was obvious. After the final bell of what may have been the most exciting fight of our protagonist's career, he loses the title by unanimous decision. And I would also add that for having a dumbass strategy, you're the fucking champion and your style is what made you champion. Why would you start experimenting in your first defense? You pulled a textbook Ronda Rousey. Anyway, unfortunately for Belal, this time there was no decision to save him. And certainly Dana and a good part of the UFC, Ultimate Fighting Championship followers, we are more relaxed now that Belal is not the champion. As a fighter, I find him boring. It's not personal. With his power in wrestling and training with Yavid, he could be like Yavid or Islam, but he's not. He lacks punching power, he lacks submission technique. And because of that lack, he's a fighter, one of those I call a controller, since his power in the fight is only used to knead people. And although I can enjoy and learn from this control technique, it certainly is boring, especially for the more casual people. His current record is 24-4-1, earning him a spot on the list of pure mixed martial arts victories. I won't say it's a shame he's no longer champion. As a fan, I enjoy interesting fights, which Belal doesn't deliver. But I have to admit that I find it incredible that, in my opinion, being so limited he has come so far. I don't think he'll become world champion again, but I also didn't think he could have been the first time. But at least I can say that he was, something that many with better potential have not been able to achieve. Colby only won an interim title, while many fighters pushing themselves to the limit won't even make it into the UFC. I think Belal is a clear example that Confucius was right when he said, "It does not matter how slowly you go, what matters is not stopping." Thank you for being there.